motivation? Have you had the chance to get up to the gym and catch up with the man of the hour, Trevor Wittman?
So I haven't seen Trevor since his historic night this past weekend, but leading up to it, I was able to see him in the gym a lot, watching Gaethje spar, Usman spar, and Rose spar, and I mean the dude had great control of every individual camp leading up to fight night. So it was pretty impressive to see what he was able to pull off on that night.
It's a rare type of individual who not only takes the pressure of one fight, but goes in with 3 fights. I don't think I've ever seen that before.
Yeah, man. I mean, it was a great thing that he did. But the thing I like more or love most about that experience or whatever is seeing the bond that he created with his athletes. There was a point where you listened to one of Gaethje's interviews, and he said there was no way I was leaving that cage without making Trevor Wittman a winner or without putting one step further to get another belt on Trevor Wittman's wall. And seeing that kind of relationship between an athlete and a coach is something that I'm super excited about, and something I look forward to with my own coaches. I mean, there are fights where the victory means more to me being able to say, hey, coach, we did it, more than like what it does for myself. Like being able to go to a coach and say, hey, between all the adversity we came up with, between all the injuries and the stuff that came out this camp, we still went out there and did it. Even though I was the one physically fighting, it was a team effort. And seeing Gaethje say that during the interview really was like the cool moment for me leading up to that crazy week.
Yeah, because it's like anything. It's like when you go into a fight, it's never, we know the fighter's doing the physical element that we get to see, but the condition of the fighter and how the fighter gets to that stage, it's integral that the coach plays a major part in that. So I think Trevor Wittman is the epitome of that, and I'm glad to hear that was the response that he's got from his actions trickling down to the fighters as well. So yeah, that must have been really great.
Yeah, definitely cool to see that for sure.
Yeah, did you watch the full card?
I got to see a couple of fights here and there. Mainly just focus on the main card and a couple of fights on there. I was on dad duty that night, so I spent most of the night chasing a 2-year-old around rather than watching the fights, unfortunately.
Yeah, know the feeling, mate. Know the feeling. So, Just want to ask you about Gaethje and Chandler. So, it's been the talk of the town, but what's your overall thoughts? We got to see adversity for both gentlemen, but then ultimately Justin Gaethje won at the end. What was your thoughts on the fight, if you can sum it up?
Man, it was a great fight in and out. I mean, that's a fight that says, hey, the winner of this fight gets the next title shot. That's a fight that says, like, hey, give me the big paycheck because I'm an entertainer. That's the kind of fight that says everything that a fighter wants. Like, you know what I mean? Like, there's no way you can deny a person who gets into fights like that. Like, whether it's Gaethje or Chandler, there's no way that you can deny those guys their worth or their value as MMA fighters. And they went out there and proved just that. I mean, they literally left a piece of one another in the cage that night. So to see them walk away and put on an impressive show as they did, those guys deserve all the accolades and great things that come with that performance.
Yeah, I think Makhachev's got maybe one more fight before he can be in that argument.
He's definitely close. He's definitely knocking on the door. But if he wants to step in front of Gaethje and take what challengers received, by all means, step up to the office. I'm sure Gaethje has no problem giving the piece what he just gave Chandler.
Man, could you imagine that? I mean, you want to see it, but you're almost kind of worried about what the risks are for the other person. But we've seen Gaethje. We've seen what Gaethje can do. So that's awesome. So jumping on to Usman and Covington, what do you think of that in your weight class?
That was a good fight. I mean, Usman did a great job controlling that fight and fought a very smart fight. I mean, he had Covington hurt a few times in the fight, and he didn't overexert himself trying to chase the finish. He just kind of let the fight play out and was dominant throughout the entire fight. I mean, whether there are people who thought the first fight was close or anything like that, him going out there and dominating the way he did the second fight should leave no doubt in anybody's mind that Usman was the most dominant fighter between the two of them in that fight.
Yeah, I agree. How much are you itching to get back in? It feels like it's been a long time since we've seen you fight. How did you feel after seeing the fights?
Oh, my God. I'm itching to get back to a fight. I mean, it's crazy to be in a position where your coaches have to tell you, like, hey, you know what? This week we're not going to train as hard because you've been training so hard waiting for a fight. We don't want you to get burnt out. We don't want you to get injured. So we're going to, technically pull you back from your training sessions. That way we kind of keep something in the tank when you jump into training camp. I'm looking to get back in there as early as December. The difficult part is trying to lock an opponent at this point. I mean, whether it's Bilal Muhammad or Gilbert Burns or even Khamzat, it just seems like all these guys are quick to say that no one wants to fight them. They can't find fights, all this other stuff. And here I am knocking on opportunities doors saying, hey, fight me. I'm ready to fight. You want a top 10 guy? Here I go. We're going to make it happen. So I'm hoping to go ahead and get something secured and locked up for December. But at this point, I have no idea how it's going to play out.
Yeah. What about the spectacle, the Khamzat? So Khamzat, UFC 267, Abu Dhabi. We know the world was going to be watching. We knew that you might have not been watching, but you were watching maybe from afar, just based on a lot of different circumstances. How did you feel about him coming back and dominating in that way?
Yeah, I mean, there was some curiosity with him coming back and seeing how he would perform. I mean, I gave the man credit from day one. Like his wrestling pedigree is super impressive. I mean, going into the fight, it was a no-brainer. Like the only way that fight was going to play out was Khamzat was going to dominate him using wrestling, or Jingle was going to knock him out early with using his power. Like those are the only two ways the fight would play out. So the fact that he was able to get out there, get hands on Zhiliang early and get him to the ground, I mean, it was pretty much game over at that point. So that fight kind of played out how I envisioned it. For the most part, having fought Zhiliang and observing what Khamzat has been able to do in the past, that fight kind of played out exactly how I thought it would.
I know you're very chilled. Like your demeanour is very kind of laid back. Does it not irritate you at all that Khamzat, despite the difference between yourself and him, the big hype that kind of comes in between him and yourself, do you feel kind of irritated about that at all, even as a respectable fighter?
100%. I mean, at the end of the day, that's the loud, cocky attitude, whatever you want to call it, that some of these guys bring to the table, that whole McGregor effect. That's something that these guys have to work on as well. That's not where I spent my time. That's not the craft that I spent time perfecting. So I can't necessarily fault another man for being able to use that to his advantage. Had I started 15 years ago when I first got into mixed martial arts and realized that big body persona would be part of the game, maybe I would have invested a bit more time into it. But I didn't. I was the kind of guy who kind of pretty much did just followed it straight and out, just kind of kept his head down and did the work to get to where he's at. And at this point in my career, I don't see myself doing any different. I mean, keeping my nose to the ground and working my butt off hasn't failed me yet. At this point in my career, I see no reason to switch it up.
Yeah, fair enough. I understand. Now, I like to look through social media and that, probably to my downfall, but I see a lot of people counting you out already. I seen someone say that Neil Magny's got big balls stepping in to fight Khamzat. What do you think about that? So, has he not got big balls coming in to face you? I mean, if we're going by names and reputation, despite everybody jumping on the hype with Khamzat, you yourself, you've got a lot of big names on your record, and wins for that matter.
I mean, that's just the way it is right now. I mean, like some guys get seen more than others. Other guys just do the work and go under the radar. I mean, it depends on which side of that card you fall on. The fact that they're looking at Khamzat being like, oh my God, this man is so dangerous. And the possibility I walk in there being an underdog, like that's the kind of thing that excites me. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and I love going to the fights where I'm the underdog. I love going to the fights where the odds are stacked against me. Like, I don't know if it's some kind of twisted thing in my mind, but I enjoy that kind of pressure. I enjoy the kind of pressure where everyone on the outside is looking like, this man is crazy. He's about to get mauled. And I go out there and shock the world. So whether it's fighting the champion, whether it's fighting Khamzat, whether it's fighting whomever the UFC puts in front of me, I almost prefer to be the underdog because it brings out a certain type of hunger that only being an underdog can.
Yeah. So you're not going with a game plan. We know that you're good at grinding opponents down. We've also seen your striking. We've also seen Khamzat striking as well as his ground game. Do you think it's going to be a case, should you fight, who makes the first mistake in the sense of who capitalises over the other?
Not at all. I mean, the only way that I can see myself losing to Khamzat is if it's one of those long grinding matches where he decides to try to out-wrestle me the way Chiesa did. Other than that, I'm going to whoop his ass anywhere the fight goes. I mean, I'm able to fight off my back. I'm able to fight standing. I'm able to fight against the cage. I'm able to fight bringing the fight forward. So regardless of where that fight goes to Khamzat, I see myself dominating regardless of what happens. So unless he is able to somehow squeeze as tight as he can for 15, 25 minutes and hold on to a decision win, I just don't see myself losing to Khamzat. So I'm pretty confident I can bring the fight to him. I'm pretty confident I can break a guy like Khamzat. So I definitely look forward to putting that pressure on myself and getting it done.
Did you see Khamzat's interview or his FaceTime with Darren Till a couple of months ago? Did you see that at all?
No, I'm not familiar what happened there.
He was talking about fighting you, and he was talking about like he was pulling like little weapons out on the camera and everything, saying, "Yeah, I'm gonna take Magny down." I think he overlooks you very much. Do you feel that kind of vibe?
Go right ahead. I mean, some guys tough game, and it's easy to pull out a knife and say, like, "Oh, I'm gonna go to war with Magny." Like it's almost cute. You know what I mean? Like it's cute, kid. It's funny you can think that. Like I've actually been to war. Like I'm not saying it figuratively, like as a metaphor for going to fight in the cage where you have a referee to save you. I've physically been to war. So for you to sit there and play with a knife and say like, "Oh, Magny's not ready for this war. Magny's not this. Magny's not that." Like, bring that kind of energy to a fight night. Like you know what I mean? Like I don't look at that as being intimidating at all. I kind of laugh at it. I'm almost just like, you have no idea what you're in store for. Like, yeah, you think you can do this, think you can do that. Wait till what happens when you're actually in there with the actual beast and see how you feel then.
And jumping up that ladder, I mean, you're getting kind of close in the rankings now. I'm sure Khamzat's at number 11. So I'm hearing a lot of rumours about different fights that he's going to be fighting. People are talking about him jumping over you all, jumping down to Usman. But I think that he needs a good couple of solid fights in that welterweight division. There's no doubt that he's got a lot of following. There's a lot of hype surrounding him. But I think a lot of people are just kind of hoping that he can maybe duck you. But I think that you be probably one of the ultimate tests for him because, like we says, you've got all the names, you've got recognition, you're more well-rounded than a lot of people that he's faced before. I mean, would you say there's an argument then that a lot of people will be saying, why fight Neil Magny? But I mean, for me, it's like, why not? This is perfect.
Yeah. I mean, I can't sit there and be blind to the fact. I can't sit there and say like, hey, he's ducking me or avoiding me if he tries to fight me. If he's able to get himself to a title shot without ever fighting me, take it. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah, it's a no-brainer. Like, why risk taking this ounce from number to give you and like delay your opportunity to fight for a title if you can jump the whole line and get up there? So if that were to happen for him, great. I hope it does happen for him to a certain extent. Like, I hope he does fast track to the top or whatever. But let it be known that it wasn't because of lack of opportunity. It was more so because of a financial opportunity that the UFC and media saw to have him fight for a title. So the idea of you being one of the baddest men on the planet and people being being afraid to fight you, I'm proving that narrative is false. Like I'm standing in the front line saying like, hey, I'm right here ready to fight you any given day, any given moment, any given place. So the narrative that like no one's ready to fight you, that one is completely false. I'll put that to rest. But if you're able to use your following, use your Instagram followers, use your base, use all that stuff to jump the line to a title shot, more power to you. I'm not going to be that bitter dude on the outside and saying, oh, he should have fought me or he should have done that. If you can bypass this ounce of number to give you and get a title shot, take it. I encourage you to take it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, why risk it? Why get exposed? Why take a beating that you don't have to? You know what I mean? So I'm not mad at that idea at all if that's what this UFC decides to do.
Yeah, that speaks volumes about your character. I don't think a lot of people would say that, but that's cool to hear. That's cool to hear.
No, I mean, it's just facts. I can't sit there and say, like, you know what I mean? I'm not one of those guys who give a false narrative because it sounds good. Like, you know what I mean? I'm not trying to say that. I'm not going to sit there and tell you the things that I think you want to hear. I'm going to tell you how it is. Like, if you think that you can fast track to the top of the division, do it. Like, absolutely do it. And I wish you the best in doing so. But just keep in mind that if you want to go to hard drive, if you want to actually work your way to the top, there's plenty of stabbers out there that can meet you at the top.
Without a doubt. Have you seen any other people coming up? I mean, Ian Garry from Ireland was fighting in a fight against Jordan Williams. Did you happen to catch his fight?
I saw the highlight of it. I mean, at the end of the day, just I don't know. It was cool. He beat a guy that was an okay fighter, in my opinion, or whatever. So it's nothing that I'm not seeing a hit on the guy. I mean, he's at this stage in his career. I think he's only like mid-20s or something like that. Yeah. Your goal is to fight. It's to be the best amongst your peers. So he fought another young up-and-coming fighter, and he was able to dominate that fight. So that allows him to stick out amongst his peers. So he's definitely doing the right things to get himself to where he's trying to go, which is ultimately being a millionaire and being a UFC champion. So I definitely didn't see anything in that fight that were just like, oh, I got to watch out for this guy now.
What about Bilal? Have you heard from Bilal? Because we know that a couple of months ago, we've seen there was a lot of social media presence. Apparently it was going to be close. There was rumours of a done deal, rumours of you backing out, him backing out. Any further forward with that?
So what my theory is, and this is only a theory, I have no way of proving this, but I did notice a certain trend. Every time one of Ali's guys call me out, it's always through social media, and for some reason it fizzles out when it gets to the point of getting him in the fight. I think these guys are biting off more than they can chew, and Ali's behind the stages trying to put out fires that these guys are putting on. There's no brainer to what happened if Bilal chose to actually fight me, and I think Ali did what's best for his client and did everything he could, everything in his power to make that fight not happen. So once again, I'm in that same boat where I can't fault these guys for making that decision. If Bilal wants to wait and get a top 5 guy because there's no one else to fight, I can understand that decision. Why take an unnecessary ass whooping? You know what I mean? Like, it's like a double-edged sword. One side is it's like, I understand the decision that these guys are making. The other side of it, I'm just so frustrated in the sense that, like, I can't get these guys to commit to a fight and actually go out there and try to get a fight going. So, like I said, it's like a double-edged sword, man. It's like I can understand both sides of it, but either way you cut it, it's definitely frustrating and it's difficult to deal with.
Is this the longest gap you've had between fights in quite a while?
Since being healthy and not dealing with anything else, this is definitely one of the longest gaps that I've had. I mean, by the time December rolls around, it would have been 7 months since my last fight. So, I mean, it's difficult, you know what I mean? And it definitely takes a toll on you. I mean, I know last year I was in a boat where I was eager to get back in there, eager to fight again after fighting in August. And there was a lot of talks about fighting in November. Then it turned into fighting in December. And I just kind of kept training throughout that entire time. I spent literally from September 1st all the way through when I fought Chiesa in January, being in training camp, no days off, eating the right things, doing all this stuff to be ready for a fight in case something were to fall through. And then the circumstances played themselves out where I was able to land the fight against Chiesa in January. So moving forward, being in the position I'm in now, it's kind of like, as eager as I am to fight these guys or whatever, as eager I am to be the one that steps up and takes the short notice fights, whatever else it may be, I definitely have to play smart and be balanced in my approach. I can't go into a fight overtrained from a 4-month training camp. I can't go into a fight with all these nagging injuries that have occurred over time. So taking weeks like this week where I'm doing a little bit lighter training, a little bit less volume, and able to focus on recovery is super important moving forward. And it would allow me to take advantage of opportunities that present themselves. So if it means filling in for somebody on December 11th, I'm there. If it means fighting the week later, December 18th, I'm there. Either way, I'll be ready to fight. So just making the right calls outside of training camp, outside of the gym to make sure I'm ready for it.
And if you got offered to fill in against someone who's outside the top 10 at the other half, maybe 10 to 15, would you take that just to kind of get some activity and get some fights on?
100%. I mean, one of the things that I just have to realize about what the UFC is right now is like, I mean, case Leon Edwards is a perfect point. I mean, the man's on a 9-fight win streak right now. In my humble opinion, he should be fighting for a title, but he's not. Why isn't he fighting for a title? Someone argue that some of his wins weren't the most impressive and that kind of thing. So if I have an opportunity or a stage set, I agree. I agree 100%. But if I have an opportunity to set the stage to go out there and put an amazing performance that's going to get people talking about me fighting a top 5 guy pretty close to that title shot, line him up. If he's number 20, line him up. If he's number 15, line him up. I do not care who it is. It's all about me going out there and showcasing my skill set.
A lot of people want to see you. We want to see you fight now. I've got a feeling that perhaps it's probably going to be early 22, maybe spring 2022 before we get to see you. But we do hope that something does appear because it's good to see Neil Magny getting in. You're coming off a really great win again against Jeff Neal. So we hope it's going to happen. I personally hope it's going to be Chimaev, but as you know the way the landscape works. It's probably not going to happen unless you go out your own character to try and get to him. But we know that that's not how it rolls, So
yeah,
we're just going to wait and see.
Evil deed. I'm going to create some evil character, get an evil laugh going, and become that guy. I guess. I mean. But like I said, it is what it is. I mean, I'm training. I'm getting better. I'm correcting mistakes I made in past fights. So whenever that time comes, I'll be a more improved fighter, more well-rounded fighter. So the downtime between, even though I don't like it, it's not all of a bad thing. I can make the best of it and make sure that when the fights roll around, I'm ready to go out there and shock the world.
Yeah, well, I can't wait to see you shock the world. Neil, appreciate you taking time to stand on the roadside. and have a little interview and hear some stuff about your old friend Chimaev. But we hope it's going to happen. I hope that you get a fight announced, and I hope that you have a good festive season and everything goes well leading up to the next fight.
Awesome, man. I appreciate it so much. Thank
Appreciate
you.
your time, Neil. Take care, all right?
No problem. Have a good one.
You too, buddy.